Do you have a hard time getting rid of unhelpful thoughts? These could be thoughts around anxiety, depression, addiction, you name it. Sometimes these thoughts can be really sticky, and our natural inclination is to either run away from them or attack them. But what if I told you that neither of those options are helpful, and in some cases can make things worse? So, what do? Right? In today's episode, we're going to talk about the first step in living the life you want through psychological flexibility, and that is called diffusion. Hey everybody, welcome to the Inner Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Enoch Fossum. I'm a marriage and family therapist intern with a specialization in addiction. So jumping right into it, psychological flexibility comes from the therapy modality acceptance and commitment therapy, which you all know I absolutely love. I'm addicted to it. It's awesome. So we also call it ACT, and we call it ACT, not ACT. So I'll just be saying ACT throughout the rest of the episode. The entire goal of ACT is to foster and create psychological flexibility through 6 different steps or pivots. So over the next 6 weeks, we'll be diving into each pivot. The first being diffusing or unhooking ourselves from the attractive thoughts that our brain naturally likes to slide into. We first need to understand the relationship that we have with our brain. There seems to be part of the brain that's always judging, criticizing, or suggesting unhelpful thoughts or behaviors. In ACT, we call this the dictator within, or as I like to call him, the little dude. Now, the dictator likes to think he knows what's best. If you're feeling sad or unmotivated or anxious, the dictator might suggest you go watch some porn. Heck, why not? Porn's made you feel good in the past because it spikes your dopamine, seems to give you a bit more energy, etc. So does that mean the dictator's suggestions are helpful? No. But what's important is that it means well. It's not trying to hurt you. It's trying to do what it thinks is best. The dictator, or the little dude, is like the great and powerful wizard from The Wizard of Oz. The dictator, or the little dude, is like the great and powerful wizard from The Wizard of Oz. I do the little quotations because what do we learn from at the end of the movie? I quote, "And I think you're a very bad man," said Dorothy. "Oh no, my dear. I'm really a very good man, but I'm a very bad wizard, I must admit." The dictator, or this little dude, is only trying to help at the end of the day. If you're feeling anxious about going into public, well, the dictator's trying to keep you safe from getting humiliated like what happened in the 3rd grade at the store. If you're getting an urge to watch porn, your brain recognizes that you need a little energy boost in a certain part of your life, and nothing spikes the old dopamine center like some pornography. Psychological flexibility is the skill to pivot and adjust to your outside circumstances that affect your inner world. It's the ability to choose how you want to live in any given moment rather than letting your circumstances make that decision for you. It's about putting the dictator aside and making a conscious choice to pivot in the direction to become the person you want to be. Now, that's easier said than done, especially when dealing with thoughts that like to stick around despite our best efforts to make them go away, right? And that's where diffusion comes into play. So diffusion is the ability to unhook ourselves from these thoughts that inevitably cause us pain. It's about stepping back from our thoughts so they have less control over our behavior. When we are fused with our thoughts, we treat them as literal commands or truths, like, I am a failure, therefore I shouldn't try. So diffusion is going to help us notice thoughts simply as mental events, not facts or orders that we have to obey. So the first thing we need to come to understand is that our thoughts are just that. They're thoughts. When we have a specific thought, we instantly label it. That's a bad thought, or that's a good thought. When in reality, neither of those statements are true. Thoughts only become helpful or unhelpful based on our focus and our actions based on that focus. For example, if you have the thought to watch porn, it's not bad. Neither is it good. When dealing with addiction, it's actually natural and normal that the dictator would suggest such a thing. So start to change the perceived relationship that you have with your thoughts by looking at them without judgment. They're just words, thoughts, or sensations. They are not reality. So the goal here with diffusion is to not stop or to change the thoughts. Rather, we want to change how we relate to them in any given moment. So as you go throughout this week, here are some techniques for you to try, and just give it a shot. You've got to practice with them. Sometimes they're going to seem a little silly, but those thoughts about you're looking silly are the dictator within trying to stop you from uncovering his little secrets. So the first little trick is to label the process. Now, of course, we don't want to label our thoughts like this is bad or good, but we want to label the process. It's different. So instead of saying I'm anxious, you can say I notice that I have the feeling of being anxious, or I notice that I'm having the thought to watch porn. This is like shining a big ol' spotlight on the dictator within and looking at what he's trying to do rather than falling for his little gimmick. So picture that scene in The Wizard of Oz when the wizard has the big robot face to make him seem all powerful. When we label the process, we're pulling back the curtain on his little trick. The second tool is to name your dictator. Now this one sounds funny, but it works. Give your brain or the dictator a name. It can be anything at all. For example, mine is Alfred. Specifically Alfred from The Last Kingdom, if you've seen that. In the show, Alfred means well and does what he thinks is best and is actually a pretty cool character, but a lot of the time what he does isn't actually helpful and ends up leaving you feeling frustrated and just overwhelmed at the circumstance that he gets people in. So I feel like Alfred is a good name for mine. If you want to take that one, by all means, go ahead if you're a Last Kingdom fan. So after you've named it, say hello to your newly named dictator like you're meeting up for the first time at a special place for dinner. Like, hey Alfred, great to meet you, man. I'm glad you're here. Next is thanking the mind. So knowing that your brain or the dictator within, or Alfred, is only trying to help, you can literally thank it. When you're having the urge to watch porn, you can say, hey, I appreciate you, Alfred, for suggesting that. Like, I see you. I really appreciate that. I know you mean well. You're only trying to help. I appreciate it. And if you know the need that the dictator within is trying to meet, if you're really tired, or if you're angry, if you're go through the halt, right? Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. If you're any of those, you can say, hey, I appreciate you. I understand that, I'm tired and you're just trying to help me get some energy, but I think I'll just go to bed. Now, the key thing here is that if you speak dismissively, it's not going to work. So do your best to be genuine. We aren't trying to create a relationship of neglect or hate. We want genuine curiosity. So those are the three. There are plenty of other options. And in fact, I'm going to link an article or link what do I want to call it, a handout below, something I put together about diffusion. So go ahead and download that if you want, give it a look. I forget how many little tools of diffusion are in there. I think it's close to 10. So go ahead and try any of those. Now, doesn't mean they're all going to work for you. So find the ones that do work, find the ones you like, and then give them a try. So why does this all matter? Diffusion is going to weaken this automatic link between the thought, feeling, and behavior, which makes the space for psychological flexibility, which is choosing actions based on values instead of being controlled by your thoughts. So to wrap this up, remember that your thoughts are not the enemy. They're not bad. They're not good either. They're just thoughts. They come and go. And sometimes they hang around longer than we'd like. But we learn to take a step back from them when we practice diffusion, when we stop letting the little dude run the show. Instead, we get to choose what direction we move in. That's the whole point of psychological flexibility. It's creating the space between what your mind says and how you actually want to live. Diffusion isn't about silencing your brain. It's not about fighting your thoughts. It's not about changing your stinking thinking. It's about learning how to hear it without handing it the steering wheel. So this week, try some of these tools, label your thoughts, give your dictator a name, or even thank your mind for its input. Or if none of those work, then check out the document linked down below in the description. If I can anyway. I've never done something like that before, so if that doesn't work, I am sorry. DM me specifically on Instagram, Facebook, or leave a comment down below that it didn't work or that you want it, and I can send it to you. Or hopefully it's just going to be right there as a link and you can download it. But you'll be surprised at how freeing it feels to realize that you don't have to buy into every thought that pops up in your head. So thanks for watching. Thanks for spending time with me today. It would mean a lot to me if you left a review and a like if you are on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. For some reason, me telling you that actually convinces you to go and hit that button, which is weird. And I don't know if I'm going to say that on every episode. I don't know if I can pull myself to do it, but leave a like, leave a comment if you found something helpful. I'm excited to keep walking through these 6 steps with you. Really, I'm addicted to this. Acceptance and commitment therapy has changed my life. It's changed the way I relate to all of my thoughts. And it's changed the way that millions of other people have started to think and how they have started to relate with their own thoughts and emotions. So one at a time, through each pivot, you can build a life that feels more intentional, more values-driven, and more you. So until next time, keep practicing diffusion, keep pulling back the curtain on the wizard, and keep moving in the direction of the person you want to become. See you next week.